In this video, I'll be sharing with you a requested tutorial on how to cut this off-shoulder asymmetric blouse. So if this is something you like, kindly hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. And this dress is from ST Couture. So to start, I'm going to mark my basic measurement, which includes my shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust, shoulder to waistline, and 5 inches for my blouse length. Now, this 5 inches, I'm still going to extend it for the asymmetric hemline that we have at the lower part of this blouse. Now, after you're done marking this, you want to go ahead and mark your shoulder divided by 2 and add half, because that half inch will be adding or will be used to attach the sleeve. Now, I went down by 1 inch from my shoulder and marked a basic neckline of 3 inches, which I connected. Next, I'll find my chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Now, I made a mark there and I'll draw a straight line. After I'm done marking that, I'll go back and place my shoulder divided by 2 plus half and I will mark. Now, after I'm done marking, I'll place my ruler and I'll draw a straight line and take it all the way up. Now, the next step I'm going to take is to divide my armhole into 2. Or you can say your chest line into two equal parts, and I'll come out by ½ inch. Here I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4. Now place your curved rule, connect from here to the ½ inch, and also extend this all the way up. Now after you're done marking this, I'm going to start by marking my dart. Now to mark my dart, I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2. Now my nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5 inches. Now I'll place my ruler and I'll draw a straight line. After marking this, I'm just going to go ahead to divide the rest of my shoulder, starting from that my basic neckline to the end of my shoulder. Divide what I have there into 2 and I'll place my ruler and connect. Now the next step is to mark my dart intake. For me, my dart intake is 1 inch on both sides. If you're a plus size or if you're a bit busty, please go ahead to use 1.5 inches on both sides of your pattern. After I'm done marking this, I'm going to go ahead to place my ruler and I'm going to draw a straight line connecting on those points. Now after that, I'll place my curved rule coming down by 1 inch and I'll connect to my bust and then connect to my bust from the under bust to the bust area. Now you want to determine where this dress will start. You can start by placing your tape at the shoulder and taking the measurements where you want it to be, or you can start from the chest line. So I'm marking like 5 inches off my shoulder, or you can use 6 inches. It totally depends on what you want. Now I'll go ahead to mark my dart. For my dart, I'll mark 1 inch on both sides and I'm going to go ahead to connect and also repeat this at the other side of my pattern. Now after I'm done marking, I'll go ahead to blend it out with my marker. After I'm done marking, I'll start by inserting my measurement. At the bust, I'm going to go ahead to mark my bust circumference divided by 4. My bust is 33 divided by 4, I'll mark. Now, I'll pick this dart, replace it, and you can also use this dart. You don't want your allowance to be popping out by the side. That is the front part of your bust, to be too out on your pattern. So you can also use this dart here. So now I'll go ahead to add my sewing allowance. Use any sewing allowance of your choice. I'm just marking ½ inch because I'm just drafting out this dress. Mark my under bust circumference divided by 4. Pick this dart to replace it, then add my sewing allowance. Here I'll use my waist circumference divided by 4. Measure this dart, replace it, and add my sewing allowance. Here I'm going to mark my hip circumference divided by 4. Measure this dart intake, replace it, and add my sewing allowance. Now after this, I'll extend it all the way down because of that asymmetric hemline we have. So for the center part of this pattern, you're going to extend it actually. So you can add like 7 inches extra for your waistline because of that. Now I'll just go ahead to use my marker and outline the rest of my pattern. Now I'm going to mark my bust dart. To get your bust dart is the difference between your shoulder to waist in front and your shoulder to waist at the back. My shoulder to waist in front is 17, while my shoulder to waist at the back is 15 and a half. Take out 15 and a half from 17, you have 1.5. Now I marked it and I slanted it to the bust area of my pattern. Now I'll transfer all these measurements to the other side of my pattern, meaning I will draft this out again, or if you have a tracing wheel, better still, go ahead to trace it out. Now this is my pattern. I've drafted the other side. I'll go back and fold it. Now I'll start working on this part first. Now on this part of my pattern, I'll come down by 2 inches from that line I have, and I'll go up. Now I'll just go up a bit because the first asymmetric curve we have there is not really that high. Now I'll just go down and then I'll try to like create another curve. Now you notice the second curve is meeting where the dart lines are. Now I'll blend in my darts this way to draw out the other side to make sure that it meets when I'm cutting it out. So now if my curves are not so perfect for you, you can go ahead to readjust yours. Now I'll now blend it out. Now this is what I have. Using my tracing wheel to trace out this curve. Now if you don't have a tracing wheel, all you have to do is get your scissors and just cut out the shape you have at that area, because you will not be using the upper part. It's just because I want to open up this pattern so that you see the full cutting. So here I'll come up by 1.5 and I'll go in a bit. So come in by your sewing allowance before you start creating the asymmetric hemline. Now I'll go in like a curve. Now I'm using my freehand sketch to do this, but I'm trying to like create or recreate the curve we have here. So I'm coming down by 3 inches from my waistline this way, and I'll go ahead to connect. Now I'll blend the darts from this side, right, and I'll come down a bit. Now I'll be taking it to the length of this pattern. Now when you're cutting this out for your client, please place the tape at the waistline and probably ask questions. Try to find out where the person wants this asymmetric hemline to stop, in case they want it a bit longer or shorter. Now from here I will now draw out the curve, blend in my darts, and I will extend the dart legs and then blend it in this way. Now you find out this one is extending out. Now this one I'm going to draw will be a bit high, like it's going up a bit, and then this is the last curve. I'll come up by 1.5 and then go ahead to connect this. But before connecting, come in by your sewing allowance. If your sewing allowance is 1.5, go in. Now you notice my sewing allowance is 1/2 inch and I took that part straight. Now that part I used my tracing wheel to mark. So this is me marking it out, and this is what I have. Now at the armhole I'll come up a bit by 1/2 inch. I also repeated it at the other side. This is because the sleeve of this dress is not really like an off shoulder. It's more like you cut it out on a straight line and then try to create an asymmetric hemline and attach it back to the armhole. So all you need is to measure from your front armhole to the side, to the back part of your armhole. Now I'm just going ahead to cut out this pattern. So if you have any question, please kindly leave it at the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up. Leave your comments at the comment section. Now I'll just go ahead to cut this out. Right now, also blend in your darts when you're doing this. I'll also cut out this side, and the rest of my pattern. So if you haven't just subscribed, kindly hit on the subscribe button. Also follow me on my other channel at Marquis Closet. There I drop both sewing and drafting tutorials. So after cutting out, this is what I have. Now I realized that I did not create a space like to attach my sleeve for the dress. Now what I'll do is I'll blend here out a bit, come down like 2 or 1.5 inches, and I will connect. This will allow me to like attach my sleeve to this area of the dress, like place it and attach it. Now what I'll do is just to go ahead to cut it out. After cutting it out, we'll be moving over to the back pattern. Now for the back pattern, I've gone ahead to mark out all the basic measurements that we need, which includes the shoulder to bust, my shoulder to waistline, and I added extra 5 inches for the blouse length at the back. Now the next step is to go ahead to mark my dart. And to mark your dart, you need your nipple to nipple divided by 2, which I marked. Now I'll place a ruler and I'm going to connect that line. After I'm done connecting, what I'm going to do is to mark ½ inch on both sides of my waistline. Now after marking that, I'll come down by 4 inches from my waistline, come down by 1 inch at the bust. Now I'll place my ruler and I'm going to connect this all the way up and also connect the lower part of my pattern this way. Now after I'm done connecting, you want to go ahead to insert your body measurement. But first, I'll use my marker to outline my dart. At the bust, I'm going to mark my bust circumference divided by 4 here. Now after marking that, I'll go ahead to add my sewing allowance. Now here I'll mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake replace, and add my sewing allowance. Here I'll mark my hip circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. Now you want to place your ruler and you're going to connect starting from the bust, waist, and blouse length. Now why we stopped at 5 inches at the blouse length is because by the side of this dress at the front is just 5 inches and we came up by 1.5 inches by this side. Now I'll go ahead to cut out my pattern before we can go ahead to alter it. Now from here, remember that by the side of the armhole we came up by 1.5 or 2 inches. Now what I'll do is, by the side of the armhole of this dress, I'll just come up by that same 1.5 or 2 inches. Now I'll be connecting this down, but I'll draw like an asymmetric shape at the neckline area. Now after marking that, I'll go ahead to reconnect and use my marker to outline. Now after I'm done outlining, now you notice towards the lacing area of this dress, I came down by ½ inch. Now I'll be marking the opening or the lacing area and I'm using 2 inches. You can use 1.5. Go ahead to use what is okay for you. Now I'll go ahead to draw out a straight line at this point. Now I'll just make a mark to indicate that we have an eyelet at that part. You're going to insert an eyelet there and I'll go ahead to cut this out and cut out my dart. Now after I'm done cutting this, by the side I'll come up by 1.5 inches, and from that side I'll try to like make an asymmetric hemline. Now I'm using a free hand to do this, so I didn't get to see the back, so let's just say there's an asymmetric hemline also, and I'll go ahead to cut it out.